Hello everyone. It's Life Stories again. Today, Life Stories brings you the tale of William Carter, a wealthy businessman who decided to disguise himself as a beggar right at the gate of his own mansion. Through this bold experiment, he witnessed society's indifference and discovered the true value of compassion and sharing. Now, let's dive into the story together. William Carter, one of the wealthiest and most powerful entrepreneurs in the city, was known as the epitome of success and luxury. He owned a magnificent mansion perched atop a lush green hill, where luxury cars from the world's most prestigious brands lined the driveway leading to the grand entrance. His multimillion-dollar fortune had cemented his name as a symbol of prosperity and influence. In the eyes of the public, William had everything others could ever desire: wealth, status, and a life that many could only dream of. Yet, within this seemingly perfect picture lay a void that even his immense fortune could not fill. It was an indescribable feeling, a profound loneliness that crept into his soul every night. William often stood silently on the balcony of his mansion, his gaze fixed on the distant horizon. There, thoughts about life and the true meaning of happiness would constantly emerge. One question lingered endlessly in his mind: do people truly judge others based on their outward appearances? For William, this question was not merely a fleeting curiosity, but a deep-seated concern rooted in the painful memories of his childhood. Before becoming a successful entrepreneur, he had endured years of hardship. Born into a poor family in the outskirts of town, William knew all too well the sting of being looked down upon and underestimated simply because his outward appearance lacked refinement. Back then, he often silently endured the mocking words of his peers and the cold, judgmental stares of strangers. Those experiences became the driving force behind his determination to rise above his circumstances and prove his worth. As time passed, relentless effort and perseverance propelled William to the pinnacle of his career. Yet, ironically, as he achieved everything he had ever dreamed of, he felt an increasing sense of isolation from the world around him. His life became confined to extravagant parties, superficial social connections, and insincere flattery aimed only at currying favor. He realized that even at the summit of wealth and success, he still could not find a sense of true fulfillment. William began to long for something more genuine, something deeper. He wanted to find the answer to the question he had carried with him throughout his life: is a person's worth determined by what they possess, or by who they truly are? To achieve this, he knew he needed to reflect on himself and return to his roots, the beginning of it all, the childhood memories when he had nothing but faith and an unyielding desire to rise above. William's story is not just the journey of a man seeking answers to his personal struggles, but also a profound reflection on the true value of life and humanity. Are we all chasing after superficial glamour, forgetting the deeper essence of happiness? In the modern world, this question continues to resonate, not only in William Carter's mind, but also in the hearts of anyone searching for the true meaning of life. On a cold autumn morning, as golden leaves fell scattered across the streets, William Carter resolved to take an action he believed would help him uncover the deepest truths of life. It was an experiment not only to answer the question that had haunted his mind for years, but also to confront himself, the true person behind the glamorous facade of a successful businessman. William stepped into an old storage room, a place that held memories and mementos from the most challenging periods of his life. His trembling hands brushed over dusty, worn items until he found them: the tattered, faded clothes he had worn as a young man struggling to survive, a threadbare coat, worn-out shoes, and a hat with a frayed brim. These items brought back the image of a different William, a man who once stood on the margins of society, desperately seeking a glimmer of hope in the darkness. After altering his appearance, he picked up a simple wooden sign with a few crudely scrawled words: asterisk, need help. Asterisk. He stepped out through the sturdy iron gates of his opulent mansion, a symbol of the wealth he had built. But today, no one recognized the powerful man he once was. They only saw a lost beggar, huddled on the cold pavement. Sitting down on the ground, William felt the chill seeping through the layers of tattered clothes, piercing into his skin. He looked up at the busy stream of people passing by in front of him, Their gazes lingered on him, but they carried little kindness. Some looked at him with curiosity mixed with disdain. Others grimaced and shook their heads, as if his presence inconvenienced them. But most simply didn't look at all. Their eyes glided past him as though he didn't exist. Time passed slowly, each moment stretching in heavy silence. William realized that in this new role, he had become an invisible part of society. No longer were there admiring glances. No longer were there superficial greetings or hollow pleasantries. Instead, he was left with solitude and a sense of insignificance he had long forgotten. But along with this, he came to a deeper realization. Those scrutinizing eyes, the cold indifference, they were not just a reflection of society, but also a mirror held up to himself. Had he, over the years, acted in the same way toward those like him today? Had his wealth inadvertently caused him to lose the ability to empathize with those less fortunate? Mocking laughter echoed in his ears, sharp and cutting like knives slicing into William's pride. A group of young men, standing not far away, glanced at him with derisive eyes, pointing fingers and laughing heartily at his expense. No one stopped. No one cared. William sat there silently amid the bustling crowd, feeling as though he had been stripped of every layer of prestige. No longer a successful entrepreneur, no longer a symbol of wealth. He was left with nothing but the bare essence of a human being, lonely and vulnerable in the face of society's indifference. The icy wind swept through, rattling nearby billboards and blending with the cacophony of city sounds. William lowered his head, his sorrowful gaze fixed on the ground. He felt more keenly than ever the fragility of his existence, the insignificance of one man in a world that seemed utterly unconcerned with those left behind. As he was lost in his thoughts, a small figure suddenly appeared in his line of sight. The person stopped right in front of him, a gesture that stood in stark contrast to the indifference of the crowd. William looked up and saw a modestly dressed woman standing there. She wore an old coat, her worn-out shoes clearly showing years of use. In her arms was a small child, wrapped in a thin blanket to keep out the chill of the autumn morning. Despite her simple appearance, the woman's eyes radiated an extraordinary warmth. She bent down toward William, her voice gentle yet tinged with concern. "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" William stared at her, too stunned to respond. While others had either mocked or ignored him, she was the only one who stopped. Though she was far from well off herself, as evidenced by her frail hands and the age-worn coat, she chose to extend her kindness to a stranger. She shifted the child to her left arm and rummaged through a small, worn-out bag with her right hand. After a moment of searching, she pulled out a few crumpled bills, carefully folded them, and handed them to William. "I don't have much, but I hope this can help you a little," she said, a gentle smile gracing her lips. William felt his heart tighten. Her words, her genuine care, were like a warm stream flowing into the cold recesses of his soul. He didn't take the money. Instead, he shook his head and said, his voice trembling, "No, thank you. I'm fine." The woman stood there for a few seconds, her expression shifting from slight surprise to quiet understanding. She bent down and spoke softly, her tone full of sincerity. "Whatever you're going through, remember, there are always people willing to help. The world isn't all coldness." With those words, she stood up, gently cradled the child in her arms, and walked away. William watched her retreating figure until she disappeared into the bustling crowd. A strange feeling welled up inside him, a mix of deep emotion and renewed hope. In that moment, William realized that amidst the indifference of society, there were still small flames quietly warming those who had lost their way. That woman, though she had so little, had illuminated a seemingly bleak day with her kindness. And William understood then that the meaning of life does not lie in what you possess, but in how you share it. It was a lesson he had learned through his experiment, from a stranger whose compassion shone brighter than any wealth he had ever known. Although this was merely an experiment, under the warm gaze of the woman, William couldn't hold back his true emotions. He lowered his head, his voice choked with emotion, and spoke words laden with the honesty he had buried for so long. I'm just trying to get through today. William realized that what moved him was not the meager amount of money in her hand, but the pure compassion she had offered. It wasn't just an act of kindness, but a profound reminder of life's true value, sharing and empathy. A mother, despite her own modest means, had found the strength to give. William's heart trembled as it never had before, a sensation that neither luxury goods nor monumental achievements had ever brought him. As the evening light faded, William rose to his feet, deciding to conclude his deeply emotional experiment. He walked slowly toward the mansion, his mind filled with reflection. But as he approached the grand gates, a familiar figure suddenly appeared, Clara, the housekeeper who had faithfully served his family for many years. Seeing William in his tattered attire, Clara's face showed a brief flicker of surprise. But there was no discomfort or reproach in her expression. She stepped closer to him, her eyes gentle and full of understanding. Without asking any questions, it seemed she instinctively grasped that this was part of his personal journey, a quest to uncover a deeper meaning in life. "Mr. William, let me prepare a cup of hot tea for you. I imagine you've been through a lot today, haven't you?" Clara said, her voice soft yet imbued with genuine care. William looked at her, a weary but grateful smile appearing on his lips. Clara's words, her kindness, reminded him that sometimes understanding requires no elaborate explanation. Returning to the familiar warmth of his mansion, William sat quietly by the large window, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He thought of the woman, the child, and Clara, individuals who had shown him that wealth is not the ultimate goal. That day, he learned that the true value of life lies in simple moments filled with kindness and compassion. What he had been searching for wasn't society's accolades, but the genuine connection between people. This experiment had forever changed the way he saw the world. Clara quietly approached William, her eyes gentle yet understanding. She pulled a few crumpled bills from the pocket of her coat, neatly folded, and softly placed them in his hand. The gesture, seemingly small, carried an invisible power. She smiled faintly, her warm voice breaking the silence. "They say kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything." William stood still, her words echoing in his mind. The money she offered, not out of surplus but from genuine sincerity, tightened his chest with emotion. As someone who had faced countless challenges in life, he realized that these values could never be measured by any wealth he possessed. It was a profound yet simple lesson, powerful in its clarity, reminding him of the true essence of compassion, a virtue he had unwittingly forgotten amidst his luxurious and hectic life. When William returned to his mansion, an unfamiliar feeling crept into his mind. He stood amidst the grand walls, gazing at the luxurious cars neatly lined up in the garage and the opulent possessions that had once filled him with pride. But now, all of it seemed like lifeless objects, devoid of any true essence. William realized that real value didn't lie in the things he had accumulated, but in how he used them to enrich the meaning of life, not just for himself, but for those around him. The image of the woman holding her child came vividly to his mind, her trembling hands offering crumpled bills, yet her eyes brimming with faith and generosity. Clara's words, along with her sincere kindness, felt like a key that unlocked a door he had unknowingly closed long ago. William understood that it is the small, seemingly insignificant acts that truly create value and meaning in life. These simple gestures, born of genuine compassion, were the treasures he had been searching for all along. After that day, William Carter was determined to change the way he lived. No longer just a businessman consumed by work and large investments, he began focusing on the simple yet meaningful aspects of life. William didn't stop at making grand charitable donations, mere figures on paper that he once thought would make a difference. Instead, he dedicated time to truly connect with people. He often walked through the streets that had once been his own refuge, listening to the stories of the homeless, offering them not just material assistance, but also understanding and respect. He visited community centers where the most humble individuals struggled daily to survive, bringing them hope through encouraging words. William also learned to share his time with his employees and business partners, listening to them not as a boss but as a friend. This transformation allowed him to see life not as a series of achievements or transactions, but as a journey enriched by compassion, connection, and shared humanity. He realized that sometimes a small act of kindness, a genuine smile, or just a few minutes of listening to someone pour out their heart can change an entire life. It's not the grand gestures, but the simple connections and acts of sharing that keep the human heart warm. William Carter's story is not just a journey of self-discovery, but a testament to the power of compassion. From a man once caught in the relentless pursuit of wealth and fame, he discovered the true meaning of life, living not only for himself, but for those who needed help. And it was these small, humble actions that shaped a new William, not just wealthy in material possessions, but rich in empathy and humanity. William Carter learned a profound lesson from his emotional journey. True wealth isn't measured by the money you possess, but by the kindness and humanity you share with others. His story is a powerful reminder that in life, sometimes the smallest things, a genuine smile, an act of kindness, or just a few minutes of listening to someone, can create the greatest impact. These simple gestures not only help others, but also bring us warmth, connection, and a deeper sense of purpose. What about you? What do you think of William's lesson? For you, what does wealth truly mean? Is it the numbers in your bank account? Or is it found in how you live and share with those around you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and perspectives. And don't forget to subscribe to Life Stories so you don't miss more inspiring and meaningful tales like this one. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the story of William Carter, a journey of discovering not only the meaning of life, but also the true value of compassion.